On January 14th, 1989, NBC television affiliate WMAQ in Chicago displayed a missing persons poster after their sign-off for the night. The image remained on screen through the early morning hours until the station signed back on. You're probably thinking, so what? A missing persons alert being shown on the news is hardly anything to speculate about. But there was something about this image and the circumstance that was off, to say the least. The first odd thing was the sheer lack of information. Simply the text, "Missing, Joanna Lopez," followed by a Chicago phone number. Perhaps even more unsettling, the quality of the image itself. It was so poor that you could barely make out the face of the person, making the situation even more interesting. In 1991, the same television station displayed the same image, along with the same information, or lack thereof. Just the name Joanna Lopez, the text saying "missing," and the phone number. This time the image was on screen for 10 seconds at the end of the broadcast for the day, before the picture switched to colored bars and a tone. So there was a person by the name of Joanna Lopez missing in Chicago in the years 1989 and perhaps still in 1991. But there's something else. Numerous searches of countless databases turned up no results for any person by the name of Joanna Lopez. So who was she? Did she exist at all? And if she did, what happened to her? Why are there no articles or posts about her other than the fact that people are discussing this obscure broadcast? Who provided the poster and the information to the news station to display in the first place? And why is the image quality so poor? Why isn't there more information about Joanna, such as her age, her height and weight, her eye color, anything? And finally, why did this strange broadcast occur 2 years after the original? Was the second broadcast a mistake? Was it a glitch? Was she still missing? Did she even exist at all? Today I'm joined by good friend and returning guest Joanne Lee to discuss this very obscure mystery within a mystery. Who and where is Joanna Lopez? You're listening to episode 25 of 1 minute and 43 seconds, a true Unsolved Mysteries podcast.
All right, so should I dive into this, Joanne, or should we talk about anything else first?
No.
Are there any other current events we should talk about?
No, current or past, none of those.
Well, I just want to say that the official position of the 1 minute and 43 seconds podcast is that we stand with Johnny Depp 100%.
I don't actually know what happened. So
okay. We can talk about that later.
Okay, yeah, because I might not be the best person to I'm not up to date on some current events.
It's all good. Justice for Johnny.
Okay.
Just take my word for it. Okay. All right. So, God, where do I even start with this? So I was browsing Reddit and I stumbled upon this. It's a very, very obscure case. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And it's a mystery inside of a mystery.
Interesting.
Because it revolves around a missing woman.
Uh-huh.
But it's so much more than that. It's very strange. So let me start here. Did you ever watch TV growing up? Because I know we were both, if you don't mind me saying this on air, the year we were born.
Uh-huh. No, I don't mind.
1989. Okay, this is when the first it starts. Our story starts in 1989.
Okay.
But when you were growing up, did you ever watch TV, like local TV?
Yeah, I mean, kids shows, but yeah.
Kids shows. Okay. Do you know how back in those days, in the 80s and early 90s, like when you watch TV at the end of the night, it like when you sign off, it would just be like colored bars because the station would be off the air.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the station we're talking about, in 1989, WMAQ Channel 5 in Chicago, which is a Chicago station,
Mm-hmm.
they were doing their regular sign off. And I guess after they sign off, sometimes they have missing persons information, like on the screen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for this particular evening, they have like PSAs, they had like a meditation segment, and then every night when they signed off, they play the national anthem, and then there is either a missing persons poster or the station goes off the air, what have you. So I'm going to play you like 30 seconds, which is like I'm going to play you like the last 30 seconds of this sign off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will get your reaction after that.
Okay.
Is that cool? This image was displayed after the station signed off. It was displayed all night until the morning. So before I even describe what it is, what are your reactions? Because I saw your face.
Well, it's odd. The image is not a good image. Because from what I'm seeing, it's mostly black and white and some gray. But the image of the person is like mostly blacked out with some highlights. And this person is wearing a red shirt. So it's really
a red shirt?
A white shirt. So it's really hard to even make out like what this person looks like. And, as you were showing me this, I looked up the number. That's on this.
Okay, good. Yeah, I love the investigative mind. Okay, go ahead.
On my phone. And I mean, honestly, like they come up right away.
Yeah. So, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. This is obviously very unnerving because not just because the photo is so low quality.
Yeah.
But because there's literally just a name and a number. It's nothing. There's no information about this person. There's no age. There's no like gender. There's no anything, race, description of what they look like. Mm-hmm. So obviously it's very, very odd, right?
Yeah. And on it, like when you're first looking at the image, mm-hmm. The feeling that I got was like, is more suspenseful than anything, I think. It's a little creepy. Yeah, like the facial features, you really can't make out to be anyone recognizable, even as like a person. Like it doesn't, like, you can tell by the outline and a silhouette that it's a person, but the facial features are not there.
It's one of the worst quality photos I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's creepy and it's suspenseful.
Yeah, so that was weird. But then in 1991, 2 years later, the same thing happened. But this time, the photo was only on the screen for like 10 or so seconds. So, and it was slightly better quality the second time. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to show you just the last like 30 seconds of the 1991 broadcast. Okay. And this is the same station, by the way.
Okay. I mean, to me, the quality of the image isn't that much better.
Not really. I guess the only reason I said that is because there have been people online that say it's slightly better, but no, it's nothing really that substantial.
No, it really isn't. I mean, like, the whites are whiter.
Yeah.
Like the image, you know, like compared to the previous one, I guess that would be like better. But I mean, it's still, you still can't make out like the feature, like the facial features. But the bright parts of the previous image is brighter in this version. But I don't know. I don't think it's better, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what makes this so strange, in addition to the fact that there's virtually no details, I did some digging and it looks like other missing persons posters or like things that appeared on TV like this, they had a bunch of information, like when the person was last seen, you know, something like that, a little bit more like just about the circumstances.
Right.
But all there was that number. So before I get into the number itself, I'll talk a little bit about how this came to be.
Okay.
Like why people started looking into this. From my understanding, it wasn't like in 1989 and then in 1981. I don't know if anything was done about this, but in 2008 or 2009, the Chicago or the Museum of Classic Chicago Television, which is a nonprofit organization, they posted this to their website. Now, what they do is they post a lot of different videos because their goal is to like preserve the history and make it so these recordings of like the old TV for the station in Chicago was not lost.
Okay.
And then in 2015, the Museum of Classic Chicago Television uploaded it to their YouTube page. So actually there was another person, the 1991 sign off, which is the second one, it was uploaded first. And it was uploaded by a different user, but it like was from the station. Either way, it was eventually uploaded to the Museum of Classic Chicago Television. And the description on their video doesn't really say anything else. Yeah. All it says for the description is, here's some public service announcements, then meditation, and finally the station sign off for WMAQ Channel 5. It includes PSA, illegal drugs, PSA, Project Serve with Janelle Levine, PSA, medic alert bracelets with Diane Carroll and Vic Diamond, PSA, United Way, Crusade of Mercy with Michael Jordan, and then PSA, Latino Institute with Migdalia, Millie Rivera. Then it says meditation with Reverend Claude, Tears of First Corinthians Baptist Church. Then it says WMAQ TV Chicago station sign off, voiceover by Jim Hill, and national anthem. And finally, it just says missing child alert slide, Joanna Lopez.
That was a child?
So that's the other thing. There is no record of this person. Like, people have looked through the Chicago Tribune newspaper. They've looked through missing persons databases. There is no person with the name Joanna Lopez that was missing around this time.
Huh.
The number that is listed on the poster, which is really the only information besides the name, today it's no longer in service. But at the time, it was the youth division of the Chicago Police Department.
Oh.
So it was a real number. That basically sums up how everything came to be. So, like, people started obviously looking into this once the video was uploaded. It creeps people out for the reasons we've already talked about. The fact there's barely any information, the fact the photo is so poor, and the fact that nobody can find any record of this woman. So did she exist? And another thing, why the thing in 1989 is strange enough, but why did this happen 2 years later on the same station? The same exact poster with the little information. Was the second time a mistake? Was she still missing? Is it possible that, somebody, like, all they didn't report her to the police, or I don't know. It's so weird. So a lot of things could have happened, I guess. But anyway, let me pause and I'll let you say if you have anything to say.
So there's no record of this person even existing.
Correct. I mean, there's no like missing person file. The police, a lot of people say, what do the police say? Because some people have contacted the police about this. The police department is not interested in helping or supplying any information. Basically, they just cannot be bothered. They're like, we're not obligated to look into this. Essentially.
Because no one filed for a missing persons case to the police?
So that's unclear to me.
Okay.
I don't understand, because it has to be, in my opinion, I think it is maybe not a child, but a teenager, somebody under 18, because this phone number led to the youth division of the Chicago Police Department. So that makes me think it was a minor, at least.
Right.
I'm thinking, 15 maybe? That's just a guess, but...
Yeah, 15 to 17 maybe.
The photo, a lot of people have asked about, why would the photo look like that? And a lot of people have said it looks like a photocopy or something, or an image that's been photocopied several times.
Yeah.
So that destroys the quality.
Yeah,
So,
is odd, for sure. There's really not a lot of information. And I think, well, okay, have they checked birth certificates or anything like that with someone with that name? I don't know, whoever has been looking at this.
That's a good question. I haven't seen anything about a birth certificate or anything. That said, I think Joanna Lopez is probably, I don't know how common that name is, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that there's no records of a person by that name going missing. Which somebody has outlined. There's on Reddit, there's a forum for Joanna Lopez about people that are interested in figuring this out. And one person says it could be 3 different possibilities for why nothing about the case has been digitized. And they say there are no records because she was not reported missing or she's still alive. Like let's say she ran away or something and then she was found. Therefore, they didn't really do anything with it. And the 1991 sign off was a mistake somehow. Or the wrong name is being searched for. I don't know about that because I know there can be different spellings of the name, but you would think whoever reported this or submitted it would have known how to spell the person's name.
Right.
And the third reason they give is that the records could have been lost or kept in paper format. It's just you see what I mean when I say it's incredibly obscure.
Yeah. Yeah, there's really not a lot of information to go off of on this one, right? And I mean, I don't know why the police is like, we can't be bothered with this. I don't know if it's because maybe they just didn't have a lot of information going to them at the beginning.
Yeah.
Or for whatever reason, the people who reported this weren't being cooperative with the cops. That's a possibility too. And, because to me, it's like people who posted this, they have to have some sort of connection, right, to the TV station in order to even be able to get it on screen. Because wouldn't you think that anybody who is reported missing that the TV station would report on is, whatever comes across them?
Yes.
And
yeah.
if cops can't be bothered with this, then the cops didn't. I don't think that the cops would have reported this to the TV station to be like, here, broadcast this. Because if anything, that would just create more work for them.
The only thing I was able to find about what the news station has said is that they've only spoken to a few people about the case, and they simply reiterated the same thing, which was it was an anonymous source who said they would call back later.
Did they ever call back later?
Not that I can tell. And I don't get that. So an anonymous source called and provided faxed this over, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then the person that used to run the youth division of the Chicago Police Department has since passed away.
Oh, okay.
Since this time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that he would remember necessarily. It's just a very obscure thing, and people want to know who this is or what happened to her. And I've even heard some people say that they think it could have been a hoax.
Really?
But I do not understand why first of all,
yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would somebody go through the trouble of doing this on an obscure TV, on a TV station in the middle of the night? And who is the photo?
Yeah.
It's just very strange.
Yeah, there's definitely, I feel like because there's not a lot of information, there's actually a lot of different reasons for what might have happened.
Yeah.
One is, what I mentioned before, which is that either, I guess, this is also based on my ignorance or non-knowledge of what people might need to go through in order to report a missing person to a TV station. Like, how easy or hard is that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
My guess is that with TV stations, it's not like Joe Schmo can just, send it over to a TV station and be like, here, report this person missing. You know, like I feel like there's a system or a process that people would have to go through in order for that to happen.
Right.
So that would be one of my questions and I guess observations, because, you know, if it's easy to get that across, then I feel like anybody could just make it up. But if it's not very easy, then, you know, that would point to, okay, well, then someone has a connection to the TV station who's able to just send this up, right? To be broadcasted on TV. That's the other thing. You know, then from there, it's like, okay, well, if this is really a missing person, then, you know, one of the things that's on my mind right now is, because of the name Lopez, could this person potentially have been an illegal immigrant? And would they not want to provide that much information to not be in trouble or to be deported?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a great,
you know, that's a possibility. And then the other possibility is, I mean, this would be way whack. It's like, maybe there is like, you know, some sort of crazy something going on, and it's kind of like a signal for someone to either start something or to, you know, I don't know what that could possibly be, but for it to happen again 2 years later, I don't know if that's, I don't know if that would be possible. Like a
code or something?
Yeah, exactly. Like a code or something for something. I don't know what that something could be, right? Like that would be a totally different topic and conversation than this.
Yeah. Those are two interesting things I didn't even think about, though. Honestly, I don't know why. But if, let's say you are an undocumented immigrant, I don't know, wouldn't you at least provide, if you're that person's family member, wouldn't you at least provide people with a little more information, like where they were last seen or something, maybe an age?
Yeah, I would think so too, except I mean, you don't know what people know, I think, you know, because like not providing that information is odd and not helpful. And I think like if they had gone to the police station to report a missing person, the cops would be able to go through the procedure of like, okay, well, what's their name? What's their age? When were they last seen? What were they what were they wearing? Et cetera, et cetera. And then they would be able to post that on the newspaper or something, right? They would have all that information. But if you don't go to the police station to report this, then they don't know the kind of information that they need to report on. You know, like I don't know, like, because the quality of the image is poor. It's very poor.
Yeah.
So it's either, I mean, but then it's also like, why would someone make like multiple copies of that image to then post that? Why didn't they just post the original? Or maybe the person who reported it to the TV station didn't have the original, in which case then whoever reported this person missing is not very close to that person. They're probably second or third degree.
Okay, this is according to a user on Reddit by the name of Bubblegum Trad. That's the username. Mm-hmm. They've been kind of doing a lot of investigation into this.
Cool.
And they say the broadcasting channel was contacted. A representative confirmed that it is a real broadcast.
Uh-huh.
The information was provided by an anonymous source who claimed they would call back later, but never return. And we are still unsure what prompted the channel to air the information a second time. So that makes me think that it was a mistake the second time.
Interesting.
But I don't know.
Right. Well,
obviously.
Okay. So based on that, my immediate thought is the person who wants to remain anonymous is also thinking about their own safety. So this person cares about this Joanna Lopez, but probably isn't like close in relational proximity. Does that make sense? Like they
Yes.
probably know them like, you know, like more separated, like not mom, dad, brother, sister, like, you know, family relational like that. That's kind of the sense that I get from that information.
Another interesting development. This was in February of this year. This same person that I mentioned on Reddit says that they spoke to somebody who claimed to be Joanna Lopez. I know. Joanne's making a skeptical face.
Yes.
So she says, this user says they were able to speak with a woman who claimed to be Joanna Lopez over the phone. Her name, age, and location all matched up. She informed me that she had run away when she was 18. While she stated that she would call me back with more information, she never did. She has not responded to any further calls or texts. And then a little bit later in the thread, she says, I don't believe she's interested in speaking with us. I reached out to her over text the week that I spoke to her. She did not respond. I also gave her another phone call on March 21st, and she did not pick up or reach back out. So that this person agreed that they weren't going to contact her anymore because they figured it would be harassment at this point because she has not responded.
Yeah.
So that is one potential lead. But who knows, you know, if this person, we're not going to know, you know?
Right, exactly. And I mean, how can we even say that something matches other than location and name and stuff if we don't have any other information? Like,
well, if she was 18, I mean, if she was 18 in 1989 and like whatever she would be now, if that matched up, you know?
Well, I mean, let me know if I'm missing something, but I thought we didn't know for sure how old this person was because there's no other information on the image other than the phone number.
You're right. No, I'm saying the woman that this person spoke to, whether or not she's, you know, the Joanna Lopez or AJ, whatever, I'm saying she said she ran away when she was 18.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're basing it on just what she's saying, like if she said she was 18 in 1989, that would make her how old now? Let me do my math. I'll edit this out so it makes it look like I did it really fast.
Okay.
I'm kidding. No, I won't.
So 40?
Oh God. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
18,
So
right?
in 1989.
Yeah, 40 now. 40 this year, I think.
So yeah, so that I think that's what this person means. You know, not that we have a lot of information to go on, but this person, yeah, they could have said, if they said I was, you know, I'm 40 years old, I ran away when I was 18, and it was in Chicago, you know?
Right. Well, okay, sorry, correction here. It was actually 50. I was like 40, 50, it's 50. But I mean, but that doesn't, yeah, the math matches. Anybody can go and add, you know,
Yes.
18 and whatever together and come up with the number. But that doesn't match anything because we don't have anything to match it to. So
Right.
how would that be a match is my question.
Yeah.
You know,
It's just her word. It's just her word. That's it.
Exactly. Like, yes, the math matches, right? It's like you're just adding something together, but we don't have like the age of this person, like the person of like, you know, in the image. We don't have her age. So we can't match shit. So
Yeah.
I'm serious. So, I mean, like, yeah, we know it's Chicago because it was broadcasted in Chicago. Anybody could have said that. And
Right.
I'm not saying that the person who claimed to be Joanna Lopez is lying. I don't know, but to say that the age matches and stuff is not correct because we have nothing to match it to.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Definitely. It's really, anybody could have just said that. Maybe somebody just wanted to get the internet talking. You never know.
Exactly.
Or it could be legit. See,
Yeah.
maybe I'm naive, but I was saying like, I mean, I was saying like, what the hell is the point of doing that? What's the payoff there?
Yeah.
Of
right.
calling and pretending to be some random missing person just so the internet goes crazy over it? I don't get it.
Well, okay. I mean, okay. So yes, the possibility could be that really is Joanna Lopez.
Yeah.
But the other possibility is someone who might have known Joanna Lopez, who doesn't want this to continue to go on, would call in to claim this would claim themselves to be Joanna Lopez and call in and be like, or call this person and be like, I was that person and all this stuff, and that's it. Just to drop it.
Interesting. What would the motivation be for that? They don't want people digging into the case?
Yeah.
That's a really interesting. Why? See, you are thinking of such amazing things that I didn't even think about.
Thanks.
No, that's crazy. Another user on Reddit, they submitted a request from the FBI, a Freedom of Information Act, from the Freedom of Information Act.
Okay.
They asked for the name Joanna Lopez between 1988 and 1990, and the police were able to return no results. The same user requested that they just search for the name Joanna Lopez from any year, and they denied that because they're like, that's too broad. So they didn't say there were no records. They said there were no records from 88 to 90. But for the other one, they said it's just too broad.
Okay.
Another interesting thing is that Illinois is a body present state, which means you cannot be declared dead unless your body has been found. So like there have been other cases in the history of, time where a person goes missing and they've been missing for 5 or 10 years, and then like you can legally have them declared dead.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently in Illinois, you can't do that unless there is a body, which I didn't know that. But that means unless your body, so that means that they will not release any records that contain information on a currently living person.
Wait, repeat that last part again.
The body present state. This means you cannot be declared dead unless your body has been found. Law states that they will not release any records that contain information on a currently living person.
Oh.
There are 3 possibilities in this situation. 1, we're requesting the wrong years or the name is misspelled. 2, the police cannot release any records because someone involved is still alive or the body has not been located.
Mm-hmm.
Or 3, Joanna was never reported missing to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But what I don't understand is why was the phone number for the youth division of the Chicago Police Department included on the missing poster if wouldn't that mean by default that she was reported missing? Or
No.
would somebody just use that number?
Exactly. I mean, it's kind of like the sense that I get from that is if you see this missing person, then call this number. So, I mean, anybody who reported it could just look up the youth division number and included that with it, right? So,
but wouldn't you then want to notify the youth division? Because, okay, let's say I report you missing. Let's say you're 15 or whatever. Uh-huh. I say Joanne Lee is missing, call this number. Wouldn't I then want to go to that division and say, this girl is missing, my friend is missing. If somebody calls it with information, because then if somebody calls with information and they don't know anything about it, you know what I'm getting at?
I
What's
mean,
the point?
yeah, but like the thing is, so the number that's included with the missing poster is for the youth division. So that just really indicates that the person missing is an underage person.
Right. I
Right?
agree.
And so then it's kind of like, okay, well, so if you see this person, then make sure you call this person or call the youth division, so that they know where they last were and, whatever information that they're going to ask you for that. So to me, there's really no other reason other than that. And I'm not really, I don't really see how, to me, it makes sense,
Yeah.
It makes sense, they would include that. What doesn't make sense is what you had said earlier, is that they didn't provide any other information, which is why I thought maybe whoever had created this missing persons broadcast poster rather, is not that close to the person.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's right.
So
I mean, I get that vibe too.
Yeah.
Because if it's a family, yeah, you're right. It kind of feels like a third party almost, or like an acquaintance did it over like a loved one because of how vague it is.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, from there on, then it's kind of like, okay, well, either this person was a victim of domestic abuse, or the family doesn't know how to reach out to have her found.
Yeah.
So then they would have a third person, to report this.
That's a good I don't even want to say guess, but that's a good theory on it.
Yeah. So to me, like, the reason why the number is there is it makes sense because, I don't know. Like, this one is odd because there really isn't a lot of information, but based on what we do have, like, this is, these are my theories, I guess.
Can I show you, can I move on to one other thing somebody proposed?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're familiar in the true crime world, where a lot of people are familiar with the Doe Network. And it's basically a large database where, and this is grim, they have information about hundreds of unidentified bodies that have been found, in hopes that they can be identified either by being matched to a missing person or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody that was looking through files online found this.
Oh.
So this woman was an unidentified female that was found deceased in Chicago in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
She was killed. It was a homicide, and she was found in an alley. I want to say this is let's see. I would have to Google the exact location, but it's in I think a pretty rough area.
Mm.
They actually even got her killer.
Oh.
And her killer said he did not know her name, and that he picked her up she was working as a prostitute, and he picked her up at 63rd and Kimbark. So yeah, she was found naked from the waist down with no, except for one sock. And they estimate her age was between 18 and 20 years old. She's a Black female. Anyway, where I'm getting with this is some people have theorized maybe this is Joanna because of Chicago and the fact she was found in 1994.
Yeah.
Now, I have my own thoughts on this, but I don't know if you have any thoughts you want to share.
Well, let's can you go back to an image of her in the missing
Yes. And I should also say, people have also spent a lot of time trying to touch up this photo.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, here they are next to each other.
Interesting. I mean,
Apologies for the graphic photo.
oh no, you're fine. It's possible, right? Because like again, we don't know. I mean, because in both images, both the picture of the victim and of Joanna Lopez in the missing persons photo, the missing persons photo is just a black and white picture. So again, we can't really make out a lot of features. I think though, when we're looking at the comparison, the forehead is what's most distinguished because of the highlight and the brightness of it. So, I mean, that's possible. Like, she was found in 1994, you said?
Correct.
And the broadcast first happened in 1989.
Correct.
And at 1994, she was between 18 to 22. So 4, 5, 6. So yeah, I mean, 1989 to 1994 is a 6-year difference.
Right.
So I mean, it's possible.
I think it's possible, but I think it's a reach.
Yeah. What makes you say that?
Because I just think it's a reach. I think there's no real evidence or anything that really links the two, other than the fact that this person is missing and this other person was found.
Right.
It just seems I need something else.
Yeah.
I need there to be another link somewhere, because I feel like, unfortunately, it's common for people to go missing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's common for people to be found deceased. And this woman was obviously, working as a prostitute. She was in a, rough area. I don't know. I just don't, it's hard for me to explain or articulate. I just think it's too far-fetched.
Yeah. And I think it's too far-fetched because it goes back to the original thing that we don't have a lot of information on the missing person, right? We don't have we don't have the age. So then it's okay, well, we can't do the math there. We don't have, the image itself is really poor quality. It's, it doesn't show any really distinct facial features. So we can't really go by that either. If the missing person's photo was in color, then maybe we'd be able to match in that case. But I mean, we really don't know, I feel like in that case, we just kind of have to guess.
Let me show you what somebody created online, if that's okay.
How are they able to do that?
Let's see. Made this come alive with the help of the Unity 3D engine. Just seeing how it fits together.
Whoa, crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah, so what I'm seeing right now is someone who used some sort of software program to add color and facial features to the original missing person's poster.
Right.
And after they processed it, you really can see like characteristics of the original photo. Like the person actually might have been wearing glasses.
I think they were.
Yeah, which makes sense.
It looks like they are.
Yeah, and which makes sense because of the way that the glare is around the eye area from the original picture.
Yeah, like look down. If you see here, you see the original.
Yep. Yeah, that would make sense.
It's pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
And I'll post now. Thank you for describing it. I'll post this on Instagram for everybody to take a look at.
Yeah.
But it is pretty wild. Given the fact, or like based on her name, she may have been a woman of color, either Hispanic or Black. And a lot of people say, you know, her case just nobody, you know, looked into it because of those reasons, like the police or
really
like she just wasn't taken
seriously.
Because a lot of, I mean, yeah, you know, maybe she came from a low income family or
right.
she came from poverty. And like you said, maybe her family didn't know how to go to the like right resources, or maybe she didn't even have a family, which would explain, it would kind of explain then if she didn't have a family and somebody just reported her missing, maybe it's because they knew of her, you know, like
right.
maybe she was not a friend, but somebody like in this person's circle that this person noticed she like was gone. Right. I don't know. There's just no information. Do you think this is something that could ever be solved?
I want to say it's possible, because I never want to say that, you know, something is impossible, like 100% impossible. But I mean, you know, with technology nowadays, like what we saw, right? Like a rendition of a possibility of the original photo, just to like get some colors in, just to get some feature, like facial features in. Like that's a huge help, right? And I mean, I think, you know, even if the processing of that photo isn't 100%, it might lead to someone to say like, oh, like I know someone, or I knew someone who looked similar to this, or something like that. And then, you know, it could lead to another thing. But I do think that the chances are pretty slim in this really being solved, but I don't want to say never.
Right. You asked what Wes said about it.
Yeah.
He didn't find it all that fascinating, but he said it could be a lot of different things. He said it could have been a person, like whoever reported her missing could be dead. You know, you never know. She could have run away and come back. He said it could have been somebody who worked at the station just screwing around. And that I don't agree with, because I mean, this is a photo. It's, yeah, albeit a terrible photo. He said maybe somebody drew it. I'm like, no.
No.
This is a photo. It's a poor photo, but it's still a photo. And so I believe this is real. And I think it's so obscure because I believe this was a real person who was missing. I just think there's missing pieces, obviously. I think that it's odd to me that there's no record of other, like, her name is not found anywhere else. But I believe this is a real person, and somebody did report her missing, at least to the news station.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
I think maybe she was a troubled youth. And by troubled, I just mean, you know, maybe she was in foster care, or she was just kind of, you know, maybe she didn't have a family. Maybe she had a rough life. You know, she lived in a poor area, and maybe she was involved in something where the police just didn't take her seriously. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying, like, maybe she was caught up, you know, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that, because definitely because of the lack of information. I think that points to certain theories and avenues, because
Uh-huh.
of the lack of information, right? Like that already can tell you a few things. And then from there it can potentially tell like certain like features and, like a profile of her as well because of that too. But I definitely agree with you, like based on all of that, it's kind of like she probably did come from a low income family, or not even a family. Maybe like she doesn't have a family. Maybe just like grew up in a rough neighborhood or grew up in a rough environment. And I completely agree with that because of the lack of information.
Yeah. And it could have been somebody like, and I'm purely speculating, but it could have been something like she was, she ran with a rough crowd, or,
Right.
what is the word? What am I trying to say? I'm not trying to be offensive, but like, whatever, if she was involved in something maybe less than like the ideal situation for someone her age, like in the honor roll and going to class every day, if she was involved in, if she was like running in a circle, maybe somebody within that circle cared enough about her to send this obscure information to the news, but they themselves didn't want to identify themselves and get like involved with the police. I mean, there's a number of reasons that maybe the police that were not involved.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't think that you're being offensive at all. I mean, we have to also take the time period into consideration. I mean, it was 1989.
Yes.
At the time, and it's definitely not 2022, like,
right.
I think living back then as a, person of color is a lot different than living in 2022.
Yeah,
some areas, right? Some areas. I'm not going to say all, because that's not 100% true either. I would say some areas. So, like, I definitely think we need to also take that into consideration too, because of the time period and Chicago in that time period.
Well, I actually do believe this is one of the cases that I've covered where I think the person actually could be alive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's possible. It's possible. This person went off the grid for a while and then came back. And so nothing else was ever said. I think it's possible the 1991 broadcast was a mistake, but then again, I don't understand how easy it would be to make that mistake. I mean, is it as simple as, oh, I put the wrong tape in? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Like, I feel like unless we know the details to that, like what is the format of the image, right? I don't, do they just upload it to a computer? I don't really think that that's the case. Like what is,
well, it was 1989. I mean,
well, 1991, right? So it's exactly
the second time. Yeah, you're right. The second time.
So it's like, I mean, I don't even know that they can upload photos in 1991 to a computer. Let's just be real. So it's like, I mean, so yeah, like I think that really depends on the details of the process. Like, how do TV stations and whatever, how do they broadcast images like that? Do they have do they just put a picture up, right? Like if they put a picture up, then that's not a mistake because they would see that before they posted it, then that's not a mistake. But if they post seeing it and it's just like encrypted or something, which I don't think they had that back then yeah, that could be a mistake. But to me, I don't think it would be a mistake, but the missing piece of information is the format of the image or images that they use to post it and how they post it. So that would be my theory on that, or thought on that, I guess.
That is something I would have to do more research on because I don't know the answer. But I do know this looks like a photocopy or something that was like faxed.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, to go back to what I said earlier, people on Reddit don't think that she was in foster care because apparently there's a lot of different laws that have to be followed if somebody goes missing from foster care. And apparently those weren't done. I mean, I'm assuming that involves getting the police involved. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm thinking this had to be like you said, it doesn't feel close. It feels like slightly removed from the situation.
Yep.
But still they had the what do you want to call it? They cared at least to some extent, but they, were still kind of distant from the whole thing. Like, let me anonymously do this and keep my distance. And
right. Like if she were going to school, it could be a teacher or something who's like, oh, I haven't seen her shown up in a while, and it's like, well, I don't really know what else to do, but they cared enough to like do that. Or, a neighbor or something. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, you don't.
But I do know that the one thing people can do to help is to talk about the case. That's what everybody says, is just to keep the conversation going, because maybe one day we will have an answer. Maybe she doesn't want, you know what? Some people have even said maybe this person that called the Redditor was talking about that she talked to. Maybe it is her, and she doesn't want to go back into her past for whatever reason.
Right.
Well, I don't know why you wouldn't just say that, but then again, I'm not in her situation. Or maybe she got creeped out by all people online retouching her photos and all this stuff.
I know.
Can you imagine if that's you and if you were missing, you ran away. If you ran away when you were young and then you come back, you're 50 years old and you see people on the internet are doing all this stuff.
I know, exactly.
Maybe she was just totally creeped out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking too. If I were in her situation, I'd be like, dude, leave me the hell alone. I don't know why everybody thinks that is such a big deal, but I don't I guess it's also a difference in personality, because I probably would be I'd probably have a chat with whoever, be like, I don't know why you guys are so interested in this case, but it's really not a big deal. You know what I mean?
Literally, I ran away for a week and then I came back.
Right. That's a possibility too. But I mean, yeah, I don't.
Well, I hope she is alive. I hope she's alive. And this is just, an internet mystery. I knew I had to talk about it when I saw I just went down the rabbit hole, but there is not a lot of information.
No. Really.
No, she's definitely real in my opinion. I'd be very surprised if this was some kind of hoax. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't see the payoff of it being a hoax. Anyway, I'm starting to repeat myself. So I suppose, do you have any other thoughts on this, or I can sign off?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think so. I don't think I feel like my thoughts on this are complete. I mean, it's definitely it doesn't, there's just not a lot of information. But I mean, we can theorize about it as much as we want, but
right. That's basically all we can do.
Exactly. We can theorize it based on time period, location, and all of that, which we have done. But no, I don't think I have any other thoughts on it. It's been really interesting.
And by the way, I also hope that that woman that was found in Chicago deceased, I hope that her identity can be determined, because right. I went on this rant, not a rant really, but with Wes, and I was like, it's just so sad to me how this could happen to a human being.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, they were a baby once. They were born into this world. They at one point, they grew up, they had experiences, and what led them to that point where they're found and nobody comes forward to claim who they are.
Right.
It just makes you think I grew up in a completely different environment than that,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I agree with you, and it's sad that different people have such horrible experiences, early in childhood or whatever, that would lead them to that point. And we also have to take the time period into consideration, because unfortunately, like, that's a part of history, right? And the person who was on the site, that was unidentified, like, she was a person of color, which at the time, it's unfortunately just, it's kind of like people don't care. And it's like, what? I mean, I personally don't understand why that's the case, but, because to me, like, a person's a person. Like, why would you not be sad about that? Why would you not want to look into that, or, try to figure out, or try to, like, whatever. But based on the location of where she was found, it was probably a rough area, a neighborhood, and she was working as a prostitute, and you don't just grow up and then it's like, oh, I want to be a prostitute someday. Like, that's not what happens. It's all of these experiences as a kid that leads to that point of
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, like, this is the only way I know how to survive and make it out there. And, it's whatever's in your immediate environment that kind of makes who you are, So it's very unfortunate. But yeah, that's the reality of it at, different places that I hope that would no longer be a reality at some point in time,
Right. All right. Well, I want to know what the listeners think. So I'm going to post photos of both the mysterious Joanna Lopez, and I'm also going to post a photo of this woman who was found deceased.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put a warning up before I put the photo up, because it's a little upsetting.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you, Joanne, for spending some time with me this afternoon. Thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next time.